Hi, I'm Cliff, and this is my garage. Today, we're going to look at the impact of air conditioning, window drag, and speed on your gas mileage and your wallet. Hey, welcome back to the garage. And if this is your first time joining me, thanks for dropping by. Now, before we get started, make sure you go smack that thumbs up button and give the video a like. And if you're not one of my beloved subscribers, go lay one on that big shiny red subscribe button and become one of the Cliff's Garage crew. Okay, gang, let's get started. These days, one of the biggest issues motorists face is high gas prices. And despite some declines in recent days, prices remain high and are likely to stay there or even go up again unless we have a radical change in our energy policy, which, to be honest, is pretty unlikely in the near future. Elections have consequences. So I'm working on this video on some ways to make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck, or the most MPGs, I guess. As part of that, I took a look at some things that I've always heard will impact your gas mileage. Things that might be fact, might be old wives' tales. I never had the very sophisticated and very expensive equipment needed to test these ideas, but modern cars now actually come with that type of feature as standard equipment. Now, specifically, I'm talking about cars that compute and display your gas mileage in real time. In my case, we own a 2019 Honda Fit EX, a great little car that we thoroughly recommend. In fact, this is our second Fit in the last few years. We originally bought a used 2016 Fit for our daughter. Now, that was totaled when she was hit by a pickup truck that lost control on a rainy highway. I didn't even give it a moment's thought about getting something other than another Fit. We liked them that much. I was going to buy another used Fit, but circumstances worked out to where I was able to buy a brand new one for just a couple $1,000s more than an average used one was going for. I happened to catch it at just the right time of year when the dealer was eager to move some cars, and I got a great deal. Although we have one other car that also does the gas mileage thing, I chose to use the Fit because the mileage tracker is very easily resettable. Also, I wanted to see how these tests would work out on a car that already gets good gas mileage versus some huge SUV or truck or sports car where other negative factors might completely overwhelm and hide any differences being made by the things we're testing. For my test track, I chose a 7-mile long section of 4-lane divided highway that's near our house. This gives me a 14-mile round trip up and down this section of road. Now, I didn't want to be trying to turn around and start the next round while juggling the reset and all that stuff. So I started kind of in the middle of this section of road, and I would go 5 miles south, turn around, go 7 miles north, turn around, and then 2 miles south back to the start point, giving me the total 14-mile round trip. And then as I approached or reached the start finish line, I would make note of the mileage, press the reset button, and then change to the conditions of the next round of the test. Now, for each round, I had the car set in eco mode, so it's doing as good as it can on optimizing mileage. I also made sure I just used a gentle acceleration, not super easy, but certainly not aggressive stomping on the throttle. I set myself up some speed milestones so that I knew, okay, I needed to be at 20 miles an hour by the time I reached this driveway, and 40 miles an hour when I reached the end of the bridge, and 60 by the time I reached this particular sign. And I kept those milestones on every round I did to keep that acceleration constant. And going back looking at the video of my tests, I found I was pretty good at being very consistent so that we try to completely factor out any acceleration differences affecting the mileage. Now, another important thing is that I used cruise control. So there's not my changes in how I was maintaining the throttle. I just let the car do it. I did a total of 4 rounds with different conditions between 2 and 3 p.m. Now, that particular day, there was no wind. So even if there had been a wind, going back and forth on the same section of the road in both directions would have basically canceled out. But this particular day, we don't have to worry about it. There was no wind. It was mostly sunny, occasional clouds here and there. The temperature, 95 degrees according to the thermometer in the car, and it stayed pretty much right dead on 95. It would occasionally dip to 94, sometimes jump up to 96, but for the most part, stayed right on 95. Now, this is Florida, so we had 65% humidity that day, which means that it felt like 118, and that's kind of important for one of our tests. I also want to note that we had fairly low amounts of traffic. It's the middle of the afternoon. We're kind of out in the country, so I didn't have to worry about really getting in anyone's way or somebody getting in my way or having trouble, having to wait a long time to turn around. It all worked out really well. Round one was to set my baseline. And that's, okay, what's normal for this car in these conditions on this day? So going 60 miles an hour with the air conditioner on, windows rolled up, of course, the car got 44.3 miles per gallon. And again, this is basically highway cruising, about the best it's going to do. No stop and start, no going slow speeds to traffic or anything like that. 44.3 miles per gallon. Now, in round two, I wanted to look at the effect of a small increase in speed. Because one of those things that you hear people say is that, well, okay, the car is supposed to get this many miles per gallon. If I'm just going a little bit faster, it's not going to make that big of a difference. And I wanted to check that out. So I increased my speed on round two to 70 miles an hour, just 10 miles per hour more, still with the AC on. And what I found was, in that round, the mileage of the car dropped from 44.3 to only 38.1. That's a 14% drop in mileage. Now, maybe on the surface that doesn't sound like much, but let's think about that. If you're losing 14% of the efficiency of the use of your gasoline, assuming $5 a gallon gas, that works out to wasting or losing 70 cents per gallon. Okay? People will almost kill themselves trying to get to a different station if it's selling gas for 5 cents a gallon less. So just by backing off on the speed, leaving a little bit earlier, it's like you're saving 70 cents per gallon. So I figured there would be a difference. I was a little surprised that it was 14%. Round three. Now, this is where I wanted to test the notion that I've always heard that people claim that it doesn't do you any good to turn off your air conditioner and roll your windows down because, yes, you save some gas by not having your air conditioner on, but that's more than offset by the additional drag you have to overcome by having the windows open. And I've seen a couple of different videos where people have tried to test this out and, in fact, prove that it is true or that it's so close that it doesn't matter. Well, I've never seen, basically, everyone that I've seen, I looked at it and said, the way you're doing that doesn't make sense. I disagreed with their methodology. So decided I'm going to test this for myself. I took the car and put it back to 60 miles per hour, turned off the air conditioner, and rolled the windows down. Now, first of all, it was very comfortable. Remember, it's feels like 118-degree day in Florida. So this is used to some pretty miserable conditions. But with the windows down, it was perfectly fine. Now, I probably should have worn a hat because, as you can see from this video, my hair is just going, what little hair I have, it's just going everywhere. And so that was a little bit messy, but it was perfectly fine. I was very comfortable. And the car got 47.5 miles per gallon. That is a 7.2% increase over using your air conditioner with the windows up. Again, on the surface, may not sound like much, but that works out to saving 35 cents per gallon on every single gallon if you just drive with your windows down instead of using the air conditioning, even in god-awful hot weather like we have in Florida in July. Round 4 is the one I was not looking forward to because my thinking was, all right, let's see what happens if we turn off the air conditioner, but we leave the windows up, or in my case, roll the windows back up and see what kind of mileage the car can get. I left this to last because I figured I was going to turn it into a complete ball of sweat and just didn't want to. I wanted to do that last so that I could then get out of the car. So, air conditioner already off, rolled the windows back up. I turned the fan on high and put a couple of the vents blowing on my face and one blowing on my chest. And I gotta say, it was surprisingly comfortable. That 15 minutes driving on round 4 was it was not unbearable. It was very bearable. It was a little warm, but I really didn't sweat. I mean, there was a little bit of perspiration, a glow, but no, it wasn't bad whatsoever. So I think that's eminently doable. And again, this is late July in Florida. It is really, really hot here. Under these conditions, the car got 52.2 miles per gallon. That is a jump of 17.8% over having the air conditioner on and the windows up. 17.8%. At $5 a gallon, that is like saving 90 cents per gallon, almost $1 per gallon less. Could you imagine the massive lines at a gas station that was selling 90 cents per gallon less than anybody else? You'd be all over it. And for a surprisingly easy sacrifice, you can do the same thing. Okay, gang, some kind of surprising results here. I mean, let's look at the two extremes. If we compare driving at 70 miles an hour with the air conditioning on, and then we make a fairly small sacrifice of going to 60 miles an hour and turning the air conditioner off and just using the fan, we're talking about $1.60 per gallon less, saving a tremendous amount of money if you do a lot of driving. I have, since doing this experiment, done a lot of driving with the air conditioner off and the windows up, and I gotta say, it's not that big a deal. You get used to it really, really quickly. Now, before you go, again, go down there, smack that thumbs up button, give the video a like, let YouTube know that you enjoyed it and found it valuable. Helps me so much with growing the channel. I would really appreciate it. And again, we are now approaching 70, well, we're well over 7,000 subscribers now. And if you're not one of my subscribers, I hope today was the day that you're going to decide, hey, I'm going to become a subscriber. Again, that really, really helps me with growing the channel and producing more content. And finally, if you want to keep up with everything I'm doing here in the garage, including the stuff like with my Cayman track car or upgrades here in the shop, I'm about to review a new airless sprayer from Titan Tools. I've got that episode coming where I show you all the tricks to maximize your gas mileage. Let me tell you, I got some phenomenal results, and I'll share them with you in that video. As I was saying, you want to keep up with all that stuff, go down there and click on that bell icon. That turns on notifications for this channel, and that way YouTube will let you know every time that I post something new from here in Cliff's Garage. I'll see you next time.